Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Loli Gumbor. For those of you who may be new, I am the mom of 3 beautiful children. I am married to an amazing husband by the grace of God. And I've just basically started doing videos recently on whatever God lays on my heart. And this season, the latest videos that we've been working on are things for our singles, especially singles that are waiting or singles that are desiring marriage. And so hopefully this video will help. I just kind of want to elaborate on some areas or some things that I feel that prepared me for marriage. I've been married, happily married for 5 years. And like I said previously, I'm not an expert in marriage, not a marriage therapist or counselor. However, I've experienced the grace of God in my marriage, and I would like to share that insight, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding with anybody who wants to hear. Marriage is something that's that I really enjoy and I love, and it hurts me or it saddens me to see young millennials or even young adults or those who are single and transition to marriage not enjoying it, and being disappointed in marriage. So I kind of just wanted to take time to just shed light on areas that I think will help adequately prepare singles better to navigate through marriage. As I said previously, marriage is not a destination, it's definitely a journey. Even with me and my husband, as we've been married for 5 years, it's still things that we're learning today. So I don't have all the answers and I don't know everything, but by the grace of God, He's helping us navigate through it. So one of the most important things that I think is very important and I love to elaborate on is the importance of marriage premarital counseling. And I'm going to break that down because I think there's some misconceptions on what that really means and some misunderstanding on marriage premarital counseling. So for instance, premarital counseling is something that couples do prior to marriage, and it's either with either or pastor, maybe the fiance's pastor, the woman's pastor, or the man's pastor if they don't go to the same church, or some kind of family friend that maybe does something in marriage counseling. So I know in our situation, my husband and I, we had counseling from my pastor in Savannah, and then we had a more extensive counseling from my husband's pastor in Atlanta. And so we got, 2 different marriage counseling sessions, basically, which was really good. I don't think you can get too much of premarital counseling. I think it's just so important to read the manual. That's the latest thing that Pastor Michael Todd is talking about, the importance of reading the manual. And I feel like that's the importance of premarital counseling. Premarital counseling helps you in reading the manual and seeing what you're getting yourself into. With premarital counseling, even though my husband and I, our relationship was long distance, we were able to, every now and then when I did come in town, I would sit down with Pastor and him, and we would go over books. Pastor had about 5 different books for us, and those books weren't just reading. Some of the books actually had activities, and I noticed that throughout those activities, it would actually bring out a lot about our characteristics and personalities, our desires, our mindsets, and I think that was really where we were able to learn so much more about each other. And that is so important, to learn more about each other as much as you can while dating or while planning your wedding. Just just knowing like what you're getting yourself into. You may not ever know the whole person, but you would have a good foundation of, okay, this is his character. He's gentle, he's patient, he's peaceful, or he's angry, or he has anger issues, or he has jealousy issues. Like you would learn so much about one another in those counseling, and it gives you opportunity to talk things through. Like, okay, if somebody does have an anger issue or somebody does have a jealousy issue, during that process prior to marriage, you get to talk it out and hopefully heal from it, or hopefully grow and develop, mature from it, and get godly wisdom about those areas that are weaknesses in your life, and just bringing out the truth. Those activity books. And one thing I would say about my husband, I'm not big on reading. I'm just done with every book possible and done with school, but my husband was very intentional while we were dating. He was like, babe, we have to do this activities. He was the one really, really pushing me to do marital counseling, premarital counseling. And he would always make us set time aside. Every time we're talking, he would say, okay, we got to do our book. We got to do our activity. And I think that's important. Something that happens, this is truth, something that happens with love. I remember there's some song called Love is Blind, but aspects of that can be true, what we describe love to be. Sometimes when we're, dating someone or we're engaged, we have this blindness that allows us to think that, we don't really need to be intentional in premarital counseling. If that makes sense. We don't really need to do these activities. This person loves me. Like the girl's like, oh, he loves me. He cherishes me. He does everything for me. This is going to be a great marriage. And then you don't take premarital counseling serious. And when I say serious, you're not intentional. You don't do your activity books. You don't read the book. You don't talk about things. The only thing you talk about is like everything else. You spend more time like, just everything else that really doesn't matter, or that it's really not priority. It's not that it doesn't matter, but it's not priority. It's like the goo gaggle of love, instead of it's like the puppy love phase, instead of like the real, okay, we're about to commit our entire lives to one another. I need to know you and you need to know me. Love, when you're in that beginning stage, you don't realize the importance, is what I'm saying, of premarital counseling. So I know I've heard couples say, oh, we had, good premarital counseling, but if they really think about it, they probably didn't. It's not that the person that counseled them wasn't great or full of wisdom. It's that their mindset was not really intentional about learning or taking advantage of the marital counseling that they were in and taking. And I think that's something important. I wanted to definitely clarify that, because premarital counseling is like reading the manual and learning what this equipment is and what it's for, and learning the best use of it. And that's the same thing that I think Pastor Mike Todd is trying to get along these days. Like, it is so important. And not just premarital counseling. It's also important to continue marital counseling as a married couple. One thing my husband and I do is intentionally we try to do 2 or 3 conferences, or some kind of, whether it's through our church, a different church, or a friend's church, or hanging out with some couples yearly. And just doing that is an investment in your marriage. You don't just do premarital counseling, the little bit you did, and think, oh, I'm ready, and then get married, and then all these things happen, and you're like, oh my gosh, they set me up for failure. That's not how it works. While you're married, some things are going to come up that you need to address, and the ways that you're going to be able to navigate through those things are being around other married couples, godly married couples, or going to more conferences, so that way you and your spouse are being fed the same food, being nourished adequately, so that you both can grow and mature and develop in whatever situations you're going through in that marriage. That is so important. You don't just stop counseling just after, because you said I do. Like, counseling continues. It may not be with that same pastor that did your premarital counseling, but it needs to continue. There's so many, it really saddens me when I see young couples and they don't, invest in their marriage. They don't go to conferences. You're inviting them to places to take this course, to go to conferences, to be around other young people, and they just want to be by themselves. Most of those couples will suffer by themselves, will struggle by themselves, and because it's like you're not receiving the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding to navigate through it. As beautiful as marriage is still a journey. Marriage is still something to learn and grow from. Marriage it teaches you so much about yourself, about others, and about God. And so it's just so important. And just like Pastor Mike Todd said, it's in your ignorance that the enemy is going to mess with you. It's in your ignorance that the enemy is going to destroy your marriage. It's in your ignorance that the enemy is going to manipulate you and tell you lies, feed you lies concerning your marriage. And so it's important to be ready, full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, so that you know the journey that's ahead. You know where you're going. You know what to look for. You know what giants are on in the route to the promised land. You know what I'm trying to say? That way you're already ready to defend yourself in the things of God. You know, having God's perspective, not the worldly perspective of marriage and how you should handle conflict, but God's perspective on it. And that is just so important. I cannot say that enough. So I think that is one area that I think there's a lot of confusion about premarital counseling. I just wanted to take this opportunity to really explain what that was. Just being intentional. Take this moment while you're dating, and especially when you're dating and you feel like this is the one, or both of you guys are mutually under the understanding that you both are the one, you both are the ones that, you know, you want to marry each other. Is important now. Don't just waste 10 hours on the phone listening to each other breathe. I mean, it's cute, but it doesn't help you in marriage. Like, listening to each other breathe for 10 hours a day, that's not life. In those 10 hours, let's say you listen to each other breathe for an hour, and then the next 9 hours, you are like learning each other's personalities, family dynamics, ways that you were raised, habits, weaknesses. Take time. Like, I remember when I was dating my husband, I mean, I think week 1, we were already talking about the hard topics. It was not like this, oh, hey, I know you're cute, and oh, you're so pretty, and oh, I love your hair, and oh, I love your teeth. And no, it was like, okay, listen, if you're gonna date me, I need to know that this is going to be serious, because I'm not just about to date around. I don't have time to waste. So if you're not for me and you're here to mess with me and play with me, you have the wrong one. And so I think that was my initial the way I approached my relationship with my husband. And he too was very serious. He was like, oh yeah, I'm here, I'm serious, and I'm ready to navigate my way through this. And so it was like bam bam, and it was so quick. So people always ask how long is enough dating before you get married. But like I said, I'm going to do another video on that. But this one I wanted to really just focus on all my singles that are dating. I call you singles because unless you're married, you're single. So singles that are dating and singles that feel like this is the one, and this is the one God has for me, and this is the one I want to marry. Right now, I encourage, I recommend, I highly, strongly encourage that you take this time to there's so many churches, so many programs online that allows you to do counseling. There's so many resources and so many things you can access. There's no excuse anymore to not really prepare, not to read the manual and prepare for this marriage, this journey of life, that it's like permanent, you know. I mean, I know in today's time, you know, divorce is common, but if you want a divorce-proof marriage, I advise that you do premarital counseling. You take it seriously. Do not take it as something that is, oh, I just check off. Part of my checkoff list, I was supposed to do premarital counseling. I'm telling you from experience. There's this, I don't know, thing that takes over your mind and makes you think that you don't need it because you guys are madly in love and everything's gonna be fine, and there's this fantasy world that you're looking forward to going into, and you will be highly disappointed. I need you to sit down with your future spouse and say, let me tell you, I love you and I'm excited for where we're going, but we have to do this. And I want to know you and you need to know me so we know what we're getting ourselves into. Honestly, if that doesn't work, I don't know what's going to work. But that is it, along with, like I said, continually counseling and dating while married and being surrounded by others full of wisdom, and just going to conferences and things like that, just to continue to invest in your marriage. So hopefully this helps my singles or those who are engaged and looking forward to marriage. This is so important. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel or comment below if this is helpful, or if you have any questions concerning premarital counseling, or if you have any questions concerning singleness and marriage. I'm going to do another video. I think one of the other questions is I keep hearing is, how do you know you're ready for marriage? So that's another one I'm going to do. So stay tuned. Thank you all so much. God bless.